Hi everyone, Elliot here. Today I'm going to be building a appointment setting chatbot on VoiceFlow. We're going to be connecting it with make.com. So it's going to be a barbershop where you can cancel appointments, check the availabilities, and make appointments as well. It's going to be all connected through make.com and my Google Calendar. So it's going to be a live build. I'm going to go through every node. And then, each node one by one, you'll see exactly how to build them, how my prompts are. And yeah, so if you're new here, my name's Elliot. I run ManyFlow AI, which is my AI agency where we build systems just like this for business owners. So if you're a business owner and you're interested in a chatbot or an AI solution similar to this, just check out my description. I'll have everything in there. And with all that being said, let's just get into the video. So I have just selected new agent, and this is the first screen that is prompted. So we're just going to give it a name. I'm going to do barbershop, barbershop chatbot. And then let's get started. Select English, and then import a web page. I don't think I'm going to be using a knowledge base for this build because I'm mostly going to be covering the actual make.com and appointment setting capabilities of this bot rather than kind of the nitty-gritty knowledge base stuff. So I'm just going to skip this for now. And here we go. Here we have our templates. And so we're actually going to delete most of these, probably all of these, honestly. I'm just going to start from scratch. So let's delete everything. Here we have home. Let's edit the workflow. And I'm going to just start from complete scratch. Let's delete all this. Cool. All right, so our first node is going to be a message here. And this is probably going to be our intro message. So I'm going to say, welcome to, let's call it like Sunny's Barbershop. And I'm going to add a second message block here and just say, how can I help you today? How can I help you today? Cool. So that is our official first node, just a message block, greeting the user. And then what I like to do next is probably add our buttons. So we're going to go to listen, buttons, let's drag this down. And then I'm going to remove listen for other triggers because I don't have any other intents or workflows. So I'm just going to have this all on one page for now, just to keep things simple. So for our buttons, let's just do book an appointment. Here I'm going to do cancel an appointment. Oops, appointment. And then we could always have, I'll probably just won't connect these. We get like FAQs and then maybe like support as well. Cool. So we're probably just going to be focusing on booking an appointment and then canceling an appointment. So let's start with putting another message block here. Let's do message. And we're going to say something like, great. Let's set that up for you. And then we're going to add another message block as well. The reason I'm doing two message blocks is because I like having it separated. When you speak to the chatbot, it won't just be in one text. It'll be in two separate texts. So that's why I do that. So next we're going to ask it for their full name so that we can have that for make.com. What is your first and last name? Question mark. And then here we're going to capture that response. So we're going to make it, honestly, we'll probably make it an entity instead of entire user reply. Yeah, I figure that's probably best. So we're going to do create entity, we're going to do full name. And then we're going to select name right here, create entity. Cool. We're probably not going to do any crazy reprompts. Just remove listen for other triggers, automatically reprompt. Okay, we'll just add a rule actually. We'll just do must be first and last name. So let's just give it a quick test right now to see if even that rule is going to work. Click run, train the agent, why not? Okay, so let's click run test. Welcome to Sunny's Barbershop. How can I help you today? Let's say we want to book an appointment. Great, let's set that up for you. What is your first and last name? So let's just say, let's just put in our first name, see if it automatically reprompts to ask for our last name. Thanks, Elliot. Could you please provide your last name as well? Yeah, so let's just give it a random name, Smith. And it should not connect to anything. Cool. All right, so that is our first, and then I'm probably gonna have an API block just set ready Let's just put that here. We're just gonna leave this out here for now, but I like doing this so I could kind of keep track of everything. So this is what's gonna be connecting to make.com. So I'm gonna already make it a post. I know it's gonna be a post. I don't have this yet, but I'm gonna keep the body. We're gonna do full name. And then this was our entity. I believe it was full name as well, right here. Cool, so we'll just save that. I'm also gonna make this another color. Green, cool. Now we're gonna add another message block. We're gonna say what they actually want, what type of haircut they want. So we're gonna do, thank you. What kind of service are you looking for? And then add another message block as well. And then here I'm just gonna paste in what I previously have here, which is going to be kind of just some options. Oops. So we should paste that in. Okay, it's not pasting in. There we go. So here they kind of have the option of like what they'd want: standard haircut, beard trim, hot towel shave, fade variations, etc. And then we're going to save that as an entire user reply. Let's do capture. I'm going to do entire user reply, and then that is going to connect to a really big response AI. So I'm going to put that in response AI. And then here's the prompt I'm going to give it. So essentially what this does, look, I'm not going to write this entire prompt. I'm going to paste this in. You can read this prompt if you'd like. This is really just telling the user which barbers are better for the service that they've picked. So here I put in Marcus, I put in Julian, Emilio, Caleb, just random information about him, right? Experienced 7 years in the field, 5 years. He's good at making mohawks. This guy's good at high skin fades. And the reason what this is going to do is that it kind of just adds a little bit of personality into the bot for new customers. Let's say they don't know who they want to pick, kind of barbers. So the AI will actually just recommend a barber for them. So let's see so far. Let's just test it out so far here already. Let's run the test. I'm going to book an appointment. And then we're going to give it our first name and last name. Just give it a random last name. Something easier to write than my actual last name. And then we're going to say we want a buzz cut. And then see how it actually just recommended Emilio just because I want a buzz cut, and in the prompt somewhere it says that it's best. Would you like to go with Emilio for the buzz cut, or would you like to have someone else in mind? I'm happy to provide another recommendation if you prefer. So we'll just leave that where that is. And then what we're actually going to do is just add buttons so they can just pick. And obviously I'm only doing 4 barbers, so it doesn't have that many options. But let's just connect this with buttons so they can just select directly. So let's listen for other triggers, remove that. Let's do, what were they? I believe it was Caleb. Oops. There's also Julian. There's also Emilio. And the last one is Marcus. Cool. After having all the buttons here in the options, we're going to add a set AI step. And we're going to connect, set AI step. We're going to connect all of these to the block, because this is going to be last utterance automatically, because it's just a button. So the last time we inputted something into the chatbot. So this is automatically saved as last utterance. I don't have to add a capture step or anything. And then I'm going to paste in this prompt here. So if we want to read the prompt here, it's going to say, you are an AI assistant for a barbershop. You are helpful. Your task is to output the name of the barber the user would like to pick, or output 0 if the user does not specify a barber based on last utterance. If a user does not specify which barber they want, output 0. I gave it some context. Here is the previous messages via memory. Here are all the barbers available: Caleb, Emilio, Julian, Marcus. Only output the barber name, or 0. If none is chosen, do not output anything else if the user just agrees. Okay, and then we're going to apply this to a new variable. I'm going to call it barber name. And this is going to go into, so I'm just going to rename this actually. I'm going to name this barber name. So this AI, what it does, it just makes sure that we grab the correct barber name. So that'll save into that variable, just so that make.com will know what barber we actually picked. And then here I'm going to copy the next steps just because it's kind of long. So let me just paste this in. Here we go. Just grab all of that, connect it to this, and then I'm going to be configuring this as well. So what this is a condition, and this is for the AI to know which barber was actually selected. So let's say here so we called it barber name. If that contains 0, that's going to go here, and we're going to set the variable to none. This is just a set variable step, just to note that there was no actual barber that the user had chosen. And then here I'm going to name this was named Julian, so set variable to Julian, set variable Marcus. So let's actually set the actual variable itself. So we're going to select here, it's going to be barber name. So we're going to do that for all of them. This is a new variable. I guess it's not set. Let's see here. What do I have? That's not correct, I don't believe. Because this needs to be the same variable as this. We're just going to barb name. Okay, so I forgot the R. Okay. So barb name contains 0. Here we'll just do it again. Barb name equals Julian. Next step is same thing. Okay, so I've set all the variables, right? So we're just going to test this out as well. To test it out, I'm just going to do a message block. And I'm just going to connect everything here. Oops. So this is just for us to do some testing, just to make sure that the variables work. So I'm just going to name it barb name. So normally this is going to output the barber name that we picked. So book an appointment. Okay, let's say we want a buzz cut here. It's going to recommend through the buttons. For buzz cut, I would recommend Emilio. So let's just say we want Julian instead, because it's not our first time here. We prefer Julian. Now we have Julian as our variable saved. Perfect. Cool. So let's just delete this. We don't want it. We're going to connect this to a new block. It's going to be a message block as well. This is just going to be asking us what time they want to schedule their appointment. So now we have their name. We have the barber that they want to pick. And let's see. Here we're going to be like, okay, let's ask. Let me just copy from this block here. Ask what day and time are you looking to book your appointment? We are open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then here we're going to do a capture step. And then here we're going to make it, I don't know if we should make it an entity. I believe we'll just make it its own variable. So we'll do save entire user reply, create variable. We're going to do day_time, just so we know what time it is. And then here they're going to provide their day and time. We're going to go into a message block, one last one here, and ask for their email address. This is going to do for the email confirmation. So we're going to go, awesome. What is your email address? And then here we're going to do a capture step. We're going to capture the email. Let's remove listen for triggers. Automatically reprompt, sure. Entities, create entity. Let's call it email. And select email. Create entity. Cool. So now it knows that it's going to be an email it's looking for. And then from there, we can directly have it to our API block that we had configured up here. So let's drag this down here. We're going to paste this in. And then I am going to wait for the make.com with that last. I'm going to do the cancellation part now. It's going to be a lot easier. So that is our first flow. Here we're going to make it a second one, cancel appointment. Let's just start it here, message. what is your first and last name? Here we're going to capture as well, and we'll just do the same entity that we have previously, full name. Here it's going to go back down to a message block again. Here we're going to ask what time was your appointment? Time was your appointment, and then we're going to save that as the same variable that was the date and time one. So let's capture, remove that. Oh, it wasn't an entity, sorry. It was an entire user reply. And then that was day time. And then this is going to go to an API block as well. So as you can see for this video, I'm kind of rushing it, and this is kind of just a basic way. Of course, I'm not doing every nitty gritty and like making sure there's perfect prompts and perfect variables and things like that. This is just for you to understand the make.com API to create the appointment, get it back into VoiceFlow, things like that. So if there's minor errors, I'm well aware. This is just for that part. So let's connect that to this. I'm going to change the color. I like making these green just so I always know the API blocks are in green. Cool. So we have the cancellation part set up, and we have the book an appointment part set up as well. So this is the make.com scenario. I just figured I'd paste it in, and I'm going to go through every module. It might be a lot faster and a lot more efficient to do it that way. So the first thing that you want to worry about here is just the custom webhook. So we want to actually choose a hook. So let's just add one. Let's call it YouTube appointment. And we're going to click save. I'm going to copy this address to clipboard, click OK. So that is our custom webhook. Let's go back to VoiceFlow, and we're going to paste this in here. So now this API block is going to be sending the data to that webhook. So I'm actually going to unlink this just so we can test this out. I'm going to click run once. So now just the webhook is going to be running, but I have to finish configuring this as well. We don't need to put any headers or parameters. Let's just keep adding things to the body. So I want to add the day time requested. That's going to be this variable here, day/time. We're going to want their email address as well. So let's go to email. We want their full name, which was this variable here, name. And then the last thing was the barber name as well. Barb name, cool. And then capture response. It's going to be response dot message. This, I'll explain that when we get to that part, so you don't have to worry about this yet. And then I'm just going to select a new variable, just call it success. Create variable. Cool. So this is going to be the response from the API block to get back into VoiceFlow, but we're not going to deal with that just yet. I figured I'd just fully configure this block first. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do a quick send request. Make sure this is running. Perfect. Let's give it a full name here, Elliot Smith. Let's say Friday 11 a.m. Email elliot@gmail.com, just a random email, and then the name, let's say we did Marcus. Let's just click generate. And then we have a 201 and a 200, which was successful. We can go to our webhook, and as we can see, we got all that data. We have Elliot Smith, Friday, cool. So I'm just going to connect this to tools. And so here we have set variable. This is going to be just a variable with the current time for when we use our OpenAI modules. So this will just know the actual current time that it is right now. And the reason I'm doing this is for like people who type into the chatbot, like, can I do an appointment tomorrow at 11 a.m.? I need my make scenario to know what tomorrow is. So that's going to be set into a variable. Here I have a router. So this is for the cancel section, the bottom part. So I'll deal with that next. So we can ignore this right here, but we're going to go to the regular. So making an appointment. Here is my first GPT module prompt. So what this does is you are an expert at parsing dates. You are the best in the world, always being perfect in what you do, the best at matching dates and transforming data. Task. Your task is to look at date requested. So let's change that to our day time here, because that's the day requested from this webhook. Here I gave it a little bit of context, what to do, and then important, only output the ISO. The reason why we're doing all of this ISO 8601 formatting and giving it examples is because when we get to the Google Calendar modules, that's the format that they request to be used. So I do have to modify the dates because, you know, in the chatbot, they're going to be saying, oh, I'd like to book an appointment Wednesday at 11 a.m. Maybe they didn't mention November, maybe they didn't mention the time, the month, whatever it is. So I need to make sure that my Google Calendar will always be able to create that event. So that's why it's going to be transforming through this entire GPT module. So once that is set, here I gave it a reminder. The current time is this. This is just in case for some reason the variable didn't work or something. I have it again in the prompt. And then I'm going to remove that and make it the latest one, which is daytime. Cool. Click OK. So far we have our webhook from VoiceFlow, grabs the current date, goes to our OpenAI module, which is going to be transforming the date. Here it's going to be a get free busy information module. So what this does is it tells me it's going to be searching for a time, right? So this result from our OpenAI module is the time that's been converted. So, okay, let's say we did Friday, 11 a.m. This is what that is. And then I added 60 minutes. Let's say that is the length of the appointment. Let's say it's an hour haircut. It's going to check those two times, the minimum time and the maximum time in the calendar to see if there is something there or not. And if there is something, it's going to show me. If there isn't, it's going to be just an empty array. So that's why there's another router here, because if it's not available, it's going to go through another path telling us the availabilities. And if it is available, which is what I'm focusing on right now, it's going to create the event, which is right here. Here's my calendar appointment with. I'm going to make that name. So this is if I'm the barbershop on my calendar. So I want to know who I have an appointment with. It's going to be with full name. Start date is going to be the date of that OpenAI module. Duration 30 minutes. Let's just say that. And this is kind of stuff that's not really important. So click OK. And then right here is our webhook response. So here we're going to have to put this in JSON. This is why I had response.message in the API block here, response.message. The .message is for this over here. Congratulations, your appointment with this barber has been successfully scheduled. That's it. So that's what we're going to be putting back into VoiceFlow. So let's click OK here. Let's run this into effect just to run anyway, because these aren't fully configured. But the top one is. So I'm just going to run creating an event, make sure there's an availability, and see how this looks in VoiceFlow. Yeah, so actually I have to just disconnect these because these aren't fully configured. So we'll ignore that for now. We're going to click run once. We're going to go to our API block, Marcus, Friday at 11 a.m., generate. And right here we got our message. Congratulations, your appointment with Marcus, as a spacing error, has been successfully scheduled. Cool. So we're getting our response back into VoiceFlow, which is what we wanted. So we're going to remove this, actually, because we actually didn't even use it. Here I'm going to add a set AI step right here. Just connect that. This, I'm going to paste in this prompt here. This is a variable that doesn't exist through my other prompt. So we'll actually type in success. So we are trying to analyze success, which is what we get back from make.com. Your task is to output 1 or 0. Those are your only outputs. If the variable has a confirmation that the appointment has been successfully booked, that means the appointment is booked. Then you will output 1. If the variable offers other time slots and does not say successfully booked, then you will output 0. We're going to create a new variable here. Availabilities. Don't know if I spelled that correctly. Prompt settings. Let's just lower the temperature. Make this. Let's just use 40 mini. Why not? We can lower this as well to like 20. Cool. Let's just name this as well. Available / not available. The reason why I'm doing this is because let's say a user has requested Friday 11 a.m., but Friday 11 a.m. is booked. Well, we don't want it to say, congratulations, your appointment has been booked. We want it to give them other time slots, which is going to be the next part of make.com, giving us a range of times for that day, for Friday, for example. So here we have this. Here we're going to go to a condition block right here. Our paths is going to be condition builder variable. So availabilities is, let's just do contains. If this contains 1, that means it was good, it was booked. So we'll just add a message block here, and then we'll just put in the variable success, because the variable success should say congratulations. And then here we can just end the conversation. Let's click end. If it's an else, meaning it was not booked, that means there was something in the way, there was already an appointment. Here we're going to go through another kind of small flow. It's going to be a message block, which is going to also have the success variable. Right now, this doesn't make much sense because we haven't configured the other part of make.com. So I'll do that right now. So click on success. So this will be another time. So success here came from this webhook. This was the answer, our variable of success. Here we're going to add another webhook, which is going to be a message saying here are other times. Give us alternate times. So let me just reconnect this as well. Cool. And we're going to add a filter here, which is my calendar. So it says array operators, array length not equal to 0. So right here, go to calendars. Here we can see it says empty. So when it's empty, that's good. There's nothing booked. When there is something, it's not empty. So if it's not 0, if it's not empty, we're going to get another minimum time and a maximum time of 6 hours. So here we can see the range. I'm going to transform that into JSON. That is then going to be into 2 GPT modules to find time. So I'll show you the prompts here. Here I have you are a calendar specialist, appointment setter, and expert date converter. Output 3 available appointments in ISO 8601 format. Unavailable times, refer to the time range marked as unavailable. So that JSON string is going to be essentially all of the unavailable times if there's multiple, because I gave it a 6-hour range. So maybe there's 3 or 4 appointments within that 6-hour range. And here we have everything, not available times, and basically a bunch of that stuff. Here I'm saying if this is blank, so that means if it's available, randomly select 3 times between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. PST with at least 30 minutes increments. Output, provide exactly 3 times. Basically just saying, give it new times. This is going to convert those times, because I don't want to have everything in one module. I'd rather split it into 2 just to make sure it's more precise and more accurate. Here's the current time for context. I'm also going to give it the current time again, current ISO here. Your task is to look at result, which is this, and convert those times into a short sentence explaining that these are the open slots for the appointment. Your output should be a sentence clearly explaining to the user the hours. For example, unfortunately, that time is booked on that day requested. Would any of these work instead? So I gave it an example. Here I said important. Here's things not to do, what to do. Here, as you can see, I got a little angry with the quotation marks because it was adding quotes, and this has to be in JSON, so it was doing double quotes, which wasn't working. I wasn't getting my response back into VoiceFlow. So I had to make sure to tell it, do not add any quotes. So here we'll just click OK. Now we'll try to run it. I'm going to look at my calendar. Here we'll just go to my calendar. And this was the appointment that we had just made through VoiceFlow, appointment with Elliot, 11 to 11:30. So I'm actually going to keep that here. I'm going to run it again. Here, send request, Friday at 11 a.m. So now it should tell me that there is something in the way. It's going to go through that second flow of make.com. So we're just going to wait a second here. And here's the message that we got. See, this time it doesn't say congratulations. It said the available appointments slots on November 22nd are 10 a.m., 10:30, and 12:30. As you can see, there's no 11 a.m. in there because it knew to pick alternate time slots. Would any of these times work for you? Cool. So now that is going to be what is going to be said in the next block. So I can, if I want, I need to make sure that it doesn't ask what do these times work for you, because I'm having that in VoiceFlow. So let me just add that to the prompt here, because this might not always do it. Important, let's just add another thing. Do not ask the user if those times work for them. Simply outline the times in a sentence without, so remind it again, without asking them if it works for them. Cool. Here, we're going to add it manually, which is work for you. Cool. And then we're going to add a capture here. We can do save last utterance. And then here, this is a little messy, but it worked for me just for the sake of this video. We're going to add a set AI step. And then here it's basically going to analyze this variable. So I'm just going to paste in the prompt, and we're going to call it reform date. This is not the right variable. So success. Here we have it again. Cool. So this prompt says you are an AI assistant and a calendar specialist, highly skilled in creating and analyzing dates. Your task is to process last utterance and success, combine the new time from last utterance with the original date from success to produce a complete date and time. And then here's some context. So essentially what this is doing, let's actually apply it to a new variable as well. Let's call it reformed date, create variable. Prompt settings, let's just lower that to, let's use 4.0, just because this is a little messy, so I'll use the best one there is there. Oops, cool. So essentially here, this success is going to be giving us alternate times. Here it says, do any of the given times work for you? And then they'll pick like 11 a.m. or sorry, like 10 a.m. And then so what this block does is going to grab the 10 a.m., which is the user response of the new time they want. And then they also have access to the time slot, the previous original time slot that was given with the date. So it's taking, let's say, November 24th, 11 a.m. is not available. The user says 1 p.m. It's going to grab the 1 p.m. and make it to November 24th. So it's just basically grabbing two dates, the old one, the new one, combining them. So there's a new date that we can process back into make.com. And then the reform date is going to go back into an API block to resend the API request to make that new appointment. So let's put that in, API. Let's copy everything. We can honestly just probably grab that and duplicate it. Let's just copy it, paste it here, delete that one, put it in. Make sure everything is the same. It should be. Cool. And then that is going to be sent back to, back to the original response, which is right here. See how this loops back to this block, which is right after this. So we could have also just connected this with this. It's the same thing, but we just redid a new API block and have it back onto the condition. Okay, let's run this into full effect here. So here, looking at my calendar, I have an appointment at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Friday. So let's try making an appointment for 11 a.m. and then make a new appointment with the times that it does offer. So I'm going to run this appointment here manually. Actually, I could probably just schedule this. Well, let's just do it manually for now. Book an appointment. What is your first and last name? Let's just do a different name. Let's do like Will Smith. Thank you. What kind of services are you looking for? I want a beard trim. Cool. Now here it gave us information based on the service you've selected, which is a beard trim. I would recommend booking an appointment with Marcus. Cool. Let's just do Marcus. That's fine. What day and time are you looking to book your appointment? We are open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Let's do Friday at 11 a.m. Also, we did not mention which Friday or the month, so that's why the nice part about make.com is that it has access to the current date. What is your email address? Let's just give it a random email. Here's going to be sending out the data. The open slots for appointments on November 22nd are 10:30, 12 p.m., and 1:30 p.m. So that's a nice thing. It didn't do 1 p.m. because it knew about my 1 p.m. Let's rerun this one more time because it's going to go through another API because I'm doing it manually. I don't have this scheduled on. And let's say 10:30 from what it provided us. 10:30 a.m. is fine. So now it's going to redo the whole loop. Check in for the 10:30 on that day. Okay, clearly here we have an issue. The available appointment slots on November 22nd are 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 2 p.m. So why did it do that? Let's say 2 p.m. Okay, so clearly it's not doing that correctly. And I will tell you right now why. I just figured it out. It's because this new block doesn't take in this reform date. We have our original date, I believe. Yeah. So this was the old one. So we want to remove that and have that be our new reform date from this block. Cool. So now, if we do it again, let's also just train our agent. Why not? So with the updated API block, let's just send it out again. Let's just click on run once, wait for new data, book an appointment. What is your first and last? Let's just redo it. Elliot Girardi. Let's just get my full name here. Here it's going to ask us what kind of service are we looking for. So we're looking for a kid's haircut. Here it's going to recommend us a barber. Cool. We want Emilio. That's what it says. Okay, that's fine. Let's do Emilio. What day and time? Let's say Friday at 11 a.m. We clearly have something at 11 a.m. And then let's give it our email, elliot@example.com. The email doesn't really matter because we didn't configure any email modules in Make. I probably won't do that for the video, but basically after the webhook, you could always just have an email sent out for a confirmation. You can make it an HTML if you want, just for a nice email confirmation. Unfortunately, that time is booked on November 22nd, 2024. Here are the available time slots. Let's rerun make sure that it's running because I have it on manual still. Go back. Yes. 10 a.m. Cool. So 11 a.m. was taken. Let's try 10. See if it works now. Congratulations, your appointment with Emilio has been successfully scheduled. And now we go back to our calendar and we can see appointment 10 a.m. Elliot Girardi. Here's was their previous one. Cool. So now let's do the last step, which is the cancellation. Let's go to our make.com scenario. We're going to connect our router here. Cool. And then here is a filter. So I believe I have it as type. Yes. So we actually don't know where this is coming in from yet. So for the cancellation, what I'm going to do is actually hard code something. So this was our section. What is your first and last? Right? They click cancel appointment. What time was your appointment? And then I'll just delete this. I know I had to put that in earlier, but it's more effective to just copy this again. Let's just click on paste. Connect that here. And what we're going to do is add, we don't need all this at all, but we'll just keep it for simplicity. We'll add something here, but it's going to be manual. So only on this API block we'll add something, and that's going to be type, and then here I'm going to type in cancel. So it'll know. Only this API block is going to have this cancel coming in through the body, not the other ones because it's going through the cancellation. So now we're going to add a filter here. our router if there is cancel. So type, well, here we need it first in the webhook. So let's run that separately. Here we'll go back to the bot. Let's just click on send request, generate. Cool. Now we can connect these. And now as you can see here, we have type cancel. So whenever that comes in here, we're going to type in type as a filter. Text operators equal to cancel. So when it says cancel on there, it's going to go through this flow to cancel the appointment. So let's just set this up. This should be very similar to the top one, just reformatting the dates to actually find the event. You're an expert at parsing dates. I believe it's the same prompt. And then here we'll just give it the new time requested, day, time. And yeah, it's all similar. Click OK. This is going to search an event. So the start date is what was given, and the end date is when it ends 30 minutes after. So this is pretty simple. I selected all the event types, and the limit I set it to 1 for the maximum number of results. This is then going into a get an event. This is going to grab the event ID. The event ID is taken from the result of this module. So I just pasted that in there. And that is going to then delete an event. So we take the event ID from, so I guess we don't really need the get an event, but I just have it in there to be safe. That is going to find the event, delete it, and then our webhook response is your appointment has successfully been canceled. Awesome. So let's run this once. There's something wrong here. Reference module webhooks not accessible. So this is something wrong with this. Let's see the issue. This would be this, the time and time requested. This was from my previous build. So I will make that this one right here. Cool. Max tokens, 50. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. Let's run it once. Wait for new data. Barbershop. And then I believe the capture response is the same response message. Let me just double check before I run this. I'm sorry. Message. Yeah, so we're fine there. Run it back. Barbershop. And then we need to add a few things here because what if the success variable is wrong, right? So let's just test it first. Cancel an appointment. Let's give it our full name here. Let's say Friday, 10 a.m. Let's make sure my thing is running. Yes, it is. Let's check what's going on. Cool. Yeah, so this should have deleted it. And it did. Awesome. I did delete it. So that is the cancellation part. Except that here we need to finish off the bot itself. So we are going to actually drag this over, add some more stuff here. We're probably going to add a condition. So I'm going to add a condition here. Logic, condition. And this is because what if, they want to cancel their appointment, but it can't find anything. This is just going to output 0. So we don't want that. So we want to make sure to add a condition. So condition builder variable success contains, let's just say is 0. So if it's 0, it's going to be a message block. We'll just keep it simple here. Unfortunately, I could not find your appointment. Please try again. And then I'll have that connect to, let's say, or you know what? We'll just change it to, and for a second, I'll try to find your appointment again. Please try again and enter the day and time. Cool. And then that will actually just connect to right here. What time was your appointment? So that just loops to this. If it's an else, that is going to go into a message block with the success variable, because the success variable will be saying, congratulations, your appointment has successfully been canceled. And then that will just end the chatbot. It will just end the conversation. Actions, end. And that is it. That is how we build a chatbot to make appointments, cancel appointments, and if an appointment is taken, it'll offer available times.